Wilf Paiement. Oh my God. I am so happy that you joined me here on this podcast. And I got to tell you, welcome to the Raw Knuckles podcast.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Raw Knuckles. Hosted by Chris Nilan.
Nilan's going ballistic. I love it. He's going to hit his own players. He's a madman. He's a freaking madman. Look at him going to town. That'll be a suspension. That'll be a fine. Bring them all out, Nilan, you freak.
It's going to be sick.
I think I hated you, and I think you hated me back in the day. Was that true? Did you hate me?
Usually when people come around me, I don't like them. I like to be at peace on the ice. Don't touch me. And you like to bug me. Why did you bug me?
Well, listen, Wolfie, I can't say I hated you. I hated playing against you. I knew that you weren't a pushover. I knew you were really strong on the ice. You were tough. You could play the game, score goals, all that. But, man, a couple times that we fought, I was like, man, this guy is freaking strong. He's hot. I was trying to get you away from me. I couldn't. You were just so strong and tight. And I guess I want to go back to Earlton, growing up in Earlton, the little French hamlet in Temiskaming region, Ontario, close to the Quebec border. I think it's important for people to know what makes a guy tick. How did Wilf Paiement, not only get into hockey, but become that aggressive and nasty bastard he was on the ice?
Well, you know what? I don't know. You're saying that I was nasty. I thought I was a good guy.
Are you? What do you mean? I'm saying that you can't. Can you be honest with me? You were a prick.
Well, you know what? I grew up. I'm the baby of 16 kids. We had 5 brothers and 11 sisters. My dad and my mom were making a living out of farming and, in the wood industry and all kinds of different things in the construction. I was very lucky. I had an older brother. Obviously, I'm the baby.
Yeah.
An older brother, Rosie, that played. And, he was 10 years ahead of me. And Rosie was a pretty dominant player. He didn't score as much as I did, but he played. He played right. He played like you. You want the team to win. And,
Yeah.
Whatever you had to do to make the team win. So I grew up that way, and following him a little bit. You know what? I got a little luckier. Obviously, probably of his help. I started playing junior hockey at the age of 15. Obviously, at 15, there's a lot of players in the league that are older than you. So to survive, you got to do whatever you got to do. And that went on that way, and just got better as the years went by, and went down to away from my house, Earlton, which was 400 miles away. We went to Niagara Falls as a junior.
Yeah.
And then ended up in St. Catharines and went on over there. And we had to do about being aggressive or tough as the hockey went by. I realized that we couldn't just score goals. We had to play the 2 different ways of hockey. To play in the league, to play in the National Hockey League. So I tried to do the best I could. And, as far as the strength-wise that you're talking about, I probably inherited that from my dad. My dad was a big, big man and real thick and always positive, too. So,
Yeah. 16 kids. It's funny. Bob Gainey's wife, Kathy, back in the day, Kathy passed away. And listen, I grew up in Boston. There were families. I remember the McKinnons. They had 12. The Sheehan's had 12. These families had 8. And the first time I ever heard, Bob Gainey's wife Kathy came from a family of 21 kids. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I'm there. Really? I think there were 3 sets of twins, but I can't. That poor mother. And when I think 16 kids. Now, what a credit to your mom and dad, certainly bringing all those kids up. Like that's a man. I had 3 kids. I thought it was tough, but growing up on the farm too. Like, did everybody work the farm? Did your father instill those work ethics in all his kids and your mom?
Yeah, we had to do that. My mother was Irish, so you know what?
So that's a good part of you. There we go. I love it.
Yeah,
I knew there was some good in you.
my mother was, you know what? She was the best mother in the world. She implemented, she didn't want us to be aggressive on the street, to
Yeah.
bully people. On the ice, that was our ways of doing it. But she was the greatest mother, and to raise us all, and me being the baby. Usually,
Yeah, right.
I should be the runt of the litter. So thank God I was healthy and was able to do the things with the love of my mom. I was mommy's sucky baby,
Yeah.
and I'm proud of it too.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, we all have a story, right?
We grew up that way. My dad was not an aggressive person, but always positive.
Yeah.
Always thought he was the best in the world, and he paid respect to everybody as much as he could, and we learned from that. You have good parents, you turn out to be all right. You don't, I don't know, the under the black world didn't get to me, as far as
Yeah.
drugs or alcohol.
Yeah.
It wasn't part of me, and nobody can convince me to do that. I did what Wilf Paiement wanted to do and what was best for me. So,
Now,
and then I had a lot of help. My brothers were helping me a lot. They were.
did you all play hockey? Like, did you have a rink on the farm? Did you have a pond to skate on? Is that where you learned to skate or what?
Well, how I remember, our little town didn't even have an inside rink. We had an outside rink. So what we did, we had 2 big barns for the cattle and the horses that we owned. And then as the bales of hay went down in the barn, we used to play hockey in there. We used to play with the balls or whatever.
Yeah.
We played. Sometimes we had 20 kids from town that would come and play with us. And then it transferred to ice when the ice came along. And we're shinny, it was almost always shinny, just like what they do in Quebec, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, we're very close to the border, so
Yeah.
we shinny a lot like that. And obviously, the main thing is competitive. I was very competitive, like you were. I didn't want to lose. I didn't want. I wanted to win at almost any price that we could do it.
So did Earlton have a minor team there, or what? What you started playing minor hockey? How did you get recognized to go to Niagara Falls and play junior?
I played in Englehart, which was about 10 miles north of my town. And in those days, we were barely making survival. I mean, poor mom and dad had 16 kids. Just to feed us was like,
Yeah. And then equipment to play hockey? Come on, back with 16 kids?
No equipment. I had no.
It's crazy.
I remember skating with Rosie skates till I was 13 years old because we couldn't. I had to wear like 3-4 pairs of socks.
Yeah.
So we went there, and then I played. I played Pee Wee in my hometown till I was 12 years old, I guess.
Yeah.
When I turned 13, I played midget. I jumped the bottom level. I played midget hockey. Then that was played north of Earlton, 10 miles. And then when I turned 14, I had to go south about maybe another 20 miles to a town called New Liskeard, Ontario.
Yeah.
And they had some type of like junior B hockey.
Yeah.
It was, obviously the junior B, they went up to 18 years old. So there was a big difference between me and the 18-year-olds. At first, the coach kind of indicated to my brother that maybe I might be too young in character to play for them. So when Larry was there, just to tell you how we need our brothers, we need the leadership from the family. He said, you know what, we're going to go and try out for another team, which was just across the border in Quebec, what's called Ville Marie. So he said, no, I don't want to give him my release. He didn't want to give me my release. I guess he had my rights. So then I ended up playing for them, and within 2 weeks, I was by far their best player. So
Yeah.
he thought I might have been too young. I was very shy, right? I didn't. It was an English community, and I was totally French. And you know what? I was young. That's what it was. I was 14 years old. These guys were 17, 18
It's unbelievable.
They had girlfriends. They smoked. I'm a fucking baby milk.
Well, that was getting you ready for the Quebec days, right? They had girlfriends and they smoked.
It's just if my brothers wouldn't have been there, no way. I was too young. I might have had to wait till I was 17. 17 would have been too late.
Wow.
So by the time I was barely 16, well, I turned in October. So when I was 15, I was drafted to the OHL. So drafted first overall. You know what happened? I was going to the high school. And you know what? That little shit disturber that I am. After the
See, you're getting honest now. You're getting honest. I like it.
You think what do you think I think of you? Anyhow, so after the national anthem, the PA came on and says, by the way, Wilf Paiement report to the office. So now the whole school, there's 600 people Wilf Paiement, what'd you do this time, right? So I ended up at the office and I asked, somebody called for me. So they said, well, go see the vice president of the school. So when I went to see him, he kind of looked up at me and he threw the Globe and Mail in front of me. Then my picture was there. I said, what the hell did I do? Then I read it. I had been drafted first overall in the OHL. They didn't even tell me. They drafted me.
Yeah.
That's how it turned out. And, from there on, even my brother didn't even know that I was, playing pro.
Well, if this makes you feel any better, when the Canadians drafted me in 78, okay, no one called me. I found out on TV, on a sports report in Boston, and I got a letter 2 weeks later in the mail saying, we're inviting you to training camp. Don't fucking call me or nothing. I'm like, okay, they really fucking want me.
Yeah, and that was 78. To me, it was like maybe 70, 1960.
Yeah, right? When you think of it.
So
crazy. So you go to Niagara Falls, you play St. Catherine Blackhawks, 73-74, win a Memorial Cup. You end up getting drafted. And you put up great numbers in junior. Again, you have 73-74, yeah, 50 goals, 73 assists. You guys win the Memorial Cup. Awesome. You get drafted second overall National Hockey League by the Kansas City Scouts, who eventually moved to Colorado and then now the New Jersey Devils. But so you go to Kansas City your first year, man, as a rookie, great numbers, 26 goals, 13 assists. Leaving, again, you leave in Earlton, you go to St. Catharines, Niagara Falls, kind of a metropolis compared to where you grew up. Then your first year going to the States, you're in Kansas City. What's that first year like, you being a rookie in the NHL, coming to training camp, new team, all these, NHL guys, all of a sudden you're in the pros. What's that like?
Well, it was fantastic. I mean, I was so proud to being drafted by the KC. It didn't matter who drafted me as long as I went and had a chance to play in the National League. That was my dream. So going to Kansas City, I mean, I had played 2.5 years as a junior. It was a dream come true for me. And obviously, the expansion, you don't get much of recognition across the league. I mean, in those days, it's not like the expansions now. They become competitive fairly quick. We weren't. So, it was a little bit of downfall that way. I mean, most of our team was made of guys that played in the American League before. We had maybe 3 or 4 guys that played in the National Hockey League. But you know what? I can't blame anybody. The only thing that probably gave me more ice time at that time.
Yeah.
I would have went to Montreal or went to the very.
Yeah, your ass would have been pinned to the bench.
Well, you know what? I guess you got to pay your dues, and if there's players that have more experience, they get. The only thing is, if you do have talent and willing to learn, you can move up.
Yeah.
That's how kids grow. That's how you came up. That's how we all come up. You know what? I didn't like the idea of going to an expansion team like that, but you know what? Maybe it was the best thing that way so I could learn. The only thing is I didn't have the role models on the team to.
Right. It's funny. Like you look at obviously how far the NHL has come. It's incredible what they've done. But you look at Vegas when they're an expansion team. They made sure that franchise was not going to fail. They've already won a Stanley Cup. That was unheard of back in the days of expansion, right? And then we had Seattle come in, and Seattle was competitive right away. They give them, there were a lot of players they could pick from. Where back in the day it was so different. It's funny. I look in your first round there. You second overall. Clark Gillies 4, Cam Connor 5, Risebrough 7, Pierre LaRouche 8. Chatra 10, Mario Tremblay, Lee Fogelin, just the names, Dave Maloney, just first one, Grant.
Close, and then even second round, you didn't go to second round. Brian Trottier, second round.
Trotz, Mark Howe, second round, Danny Gear, Greshna, Tiger Williams, there's some good players drafted that year, no question. So,
very good.
So that first year, Kansas City. You put up the numbers, you get the second year, you do your thing. You got over 100 minutes every year. You fought a bit in junior, I'm sure, so you're used to it. But now you get the NHL, you're fighting guys that are, some men. You're fighting big boys and men. How's that for you? Do you remember your first fight and how that went?
I wasn't that proud of fighting all the time. I was more proud of either scoring or winning.
Yeah.
But you know what? I didn't really want to fight. I wanted to play hockey the best way I could. I mean, if I had to go and initiate that, then that was part of the game, I guess.
I like you to, I like that you said that because I would have never. I would have never thought that if I've never spoken to you. I got to meet you in PEI last year at a charity event and talk to you a bit, and it was fun to get to know you. And I never knew that about you. Because you played the game, you played it tough, and I saw you fight. I know you didn't fight as much as me or some of them other guys that did that job, but you were certainly willing. And I didn't know that about you, that you really didn't want to
I was
fight.
always stubborn too. I don't want to back down from anybody.
Yeah.
You know what? It's a game of hockey.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do to help your hockey team. And,
Yeah.
Obviously I must have had some talents if I was drafted second overall.
No, come on, Wilf. You're talented.
I didn't want, for an example, when I broke in the league, you had guys like Chicago, Magnuson, and these guys. They were challenging me every game. These guys.
Yeah.
You get pissed off with them.
Yeah.
And that's just one guy, but there's many guys that would like to challenge. But you know what? The better players, they got to do it all. They don't have to play all the time, but they got to do it all. They got to play well defensively. They got to have physical presence. I don't know. I wanted to get to the net, and the goalie, the defensemen didn't want me to get there.
Yeah. So, Kansas City, you're 2 years there, then you pick up a move to Colorado. Was Don Cherry there when?
Yeah, Graves.
Graves was there, right? How did you like playing for him? You must have loved playing for him.
Oh, he was awesome. I mean, he had been through the league, and then he was in Boston the year before, and he comes to Kansas City, they're an expansion team, and you know what? We were far off what Boston used to be, but he added some grit to us, and he had a character, and he made us feel good all the time. The players that he brought in, we were starting to have some decent boys over there now. We had Barry Beck.
Yeah.
We had Rob Ramage. We had some big guys that could handle themselves. So it was fun. I mean, Graves, I'm not sure how many years he was there. Was it just 1 year or two?
Two, I think.
Then then he got that big job in Toronto, and perfect
Yeah.
for him, 30 years.
Yeah, it was perfect for him. Look what he did, Grapes. I had him on the podcast just when I started, probably about I don't know 20 episodes in, and he come on and he was so awesome. I just love
Yeah,
that
he's
guy.
positive all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
You know what? He made me feel real good. I wasn't a rookie when he came in, so you know what? He's a little tougher on rookies, I think.
yeah. He's a Canadian icon. That guy. You know, a lot of
Oh
people.
yeah.
You know,
We're really proud of him. We're really
yeah,
proud of him.
yeah. No question. So, man, you score 41 your first year there, 31, 24. You were just like, man, you're putting the puck in the net. You end up get traded to the Leafs. You continue. You have 40 with the Leafs. Then I got to get to Quebec, obviously. And you play well in Quebec, too. Like, you put numbers up, 26 goals, 39 goals. You had the assists, too, 38 assists, 37 assists, 20. When I look at your numbers, you played 946 games, 814 points. You're almost a point-a-game player. I don't know if people appreciated just how good you were as a player. I really don't. And honestly, when I look at your numbers, like I knew when we were playing, like, yeah, he can score, he can get to the net, he's tough, all this, he can play in the corners, he's good on the wall, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't realize the numbers you had. And you're almost a point-a-game player. That's incredible. I don't care what era. And people say, oh, this era's fast. They'd never do this and that era and blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. But they're great numbers.
You know what? Obviously, my draft showed why I went so high in the draft. I could do all these things quite well, I guess.
Yeah.
Starting with an expansion team, it's hard. You know, like you ain't gonna win. In those days, expansion teams were on the bottom of the league for so many years. They had no chance to get up.
Yeah.
Somehow, maybe the ownership, and obviously, it wasn't set up the way it is now. You know, they asked these people, almost $1 billion to get in the league, so they got to give them a chance to be competitive real quick.
Yeah.
So in those days, it wasn't. Washington and Kansas City came in the league. I don't know how long it took for even Washington had a terrible record the first year.
Yeah.
The Islanders had a terrible record their first year too, but they ended up with a bunch of real superstars, right?
Yeah, they did. They drafted well. There's no question. You had your best year with the Leafs, 97 points. You outpointed Darryl Sittler that year, I think, right? 40 goals, 57 assists, and Harold was still there, wasn't he? Harold, the old coot, huh? How was Harold? How was Harold Ballard?
I thought he was all right. He liked to steal the show once in a while, like a kid,
Yeah.
But he was the owner. What are you going to do? I mean,
Yeah.
don't argue with the coach or the owners because he ain't going to win as a player. Yeah. So, you know what? Everybody's got their different style. He came across, obviously, the Toronto Maple Leafs and like Montreal. And Montreal were winning all the championship, but Toronto was pretty popular too in Canada. So,
oh, yeah, for sure. It's funny you say that because but I remember Bob Gainey told me, like, with your coach, he said, Chris, you don't always have to like your coach, but you got to respect them.
Oh, yeah. If you don't,
and you know what? I had a hard time with that with one of my coaches in Montreal because I felt he disrespected me. I had a hard time. If someone disrespects me, you think I'm going to fucking respect them back, Wolf? Yeah. That goes two ways. I don't care if you're the fucking coach, if you're the priest, you're the mailman, you're whoever. If you disrespect someone,
yeah, you're right.
You can't expect it back.
As much as you guys didn't like Bergeron respected me. So you know what? I would go the extra mile for the guy.
I love Bergie. Listen to this. This is funny, and you probably don't know this so much.
Fans sometimes are not.
Those games were like wars, okay? All of them. We fucking hated each other. Quebec, Montreal hated each other. And then we get to Boston. We had the same thing in Boston, right? So we got Boston hates us. Quebec hates us. And it's like, it was like war. The Adams division was sick back then. It was sick. Well, honestly, sometimes I think the kids today, if they ever were dropped into one of those games, they say we couldn't play today. If they were ever dropped into one of those games back then, they'd be fucking on the phone to their mother between periods. Mom, come and get me. I can't do this. That shit was crazy. But
Well, the press brought it up to that level.
well, the press, but a lot of shit on the ice too. Bergie was.
Yeah, we didn't like each other. It was so
Yeah, Berg, it was Quebec City, Montreal, big city, small city, O'Keefe, Molson. It had all the, who had the better hot dogs, who got the better usherettes. It was just awesome. But to be part of that and experience that was like, man, it was nuts. We remember the Battle of Quebec, all that. And it's crazy. But I remember skating around, right? I'd be in the warm up and I'd skate by and Bergie be at the bench fucking looking at he'd be mean. He's gonna mean mug me, right? He's gonna try and scare me with his stare, right? And I'd always look at him, and then he'd go like this. And he'd wink at me. I mean, fucking Bergie likes me, right?
yeah.
And then Tremblay would come by and he'd be swearing at fucking Tremblay off the bench. He'd be saying shit to him. Every time I come by, he'd never say nothing. He'd always wink, right? I mean, this fucking guy likes me. I'm gonna keep it that way. And
Wow.
it was.
It's so funny. Like, when I played in the league, nobody ever called me a fraud or a Frenchman. I think people didn't even know I spoke French for a long time. So
I didn't.
I was never in conflicts with the French guys. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I was always in conflicts with the English guys.
Yeah.
I mean, the left wingers you guys brought in, I don't remember where they were.
Mike McPhee, Ryan, Bob Gainey. Yeah.
Yeah, but Turnbull, I mean, Gainey played hard, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Physically hit everybody.
Yeah.
But most of the guys you brought in were English guys that played against me.
Yeah.
I don't know, Tremblay, as much as he was a pain in the ass, I never had no conflict with him. Never.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have hesitated if it would have came around, but
No, I know.
I don't think he
Of
wanted
course.
to deal with me either. So I don't know. It's so funny. I was French, but nobody ever bugged me about that. They thought maybe this fucking guy's got a French name and he's English. I don't know.
Well, everybody wanted to go after Dale Hunter anyway, right? Dale was the catalyst. He was a little, he was Bergie's little ever ready bunny. Go out there, Dale. Start some. Go, Dale. Start some shit. Yeah.
He was a really good player.
Oh, are you kidding me? Anybody would take that guy. The numbers he put up, the shit he started.
He was a good guy.
No, he was a hockey player.
Oh yeah.
You know what? The great quote. There's guys that play hockey, Wilf, and then there's hockey players. Yeah. He was a hockey player.
Oh yeah.
There's no question.
He was fun with the room. He was always happy, and you know what? When he was in the room, when he was on the ice, it was a totally different game.
Yeah.
And how he was able to do this, that's just his character.
He had that look in his eyes too, right? One of those guys that put the wires together.
Look, he runs the London team, and
it's unbelievable.
He wins all the time, the bugger.
Him and his brother, Mark.
Oh, his brother's a fantastic hockey player.
Mark Hunter is a good hockey man. He knows talent. He can find talent. That's what he does. He's out there hounding. He finds people. That guy, honest to God, should be working for an NHL team. And,
he should have. When he was in Toronto, he did a great job. It's just management didn't give him the authority that he should have got. Probably.
Yeah, you know what? I look at them now and doing what they're doing. I talked to Hunt's. Actually, I talked to him 2 weeks ago. I talk to him once in a while, Mark. We stay in touch. They got such a good thing going there. They don't have to put up with all the bullshit, the NHL, and
they run their own show.
Yeah, they do their own show. And Dale hated the fucking media.
Oh,
I couldn't get him on to come on with me. I mean, I would ask him if I saw him. I don't have his number, and Mark always told me, they hate the media. They hate doing it. They don't want to talk to anybody. They just want to go do their thing. And, whatever. Credit to them.
They hear a lot of negative stuff, and they don't want to hear that. In their own mind, they're positive. They know what they're doing. I mean, that's their trade. The two hunters, that's their trade. They're in the perfect position. And the Mark wasn't an angel either. He was a shit disturber too. He was a great player.
Yeah, really good player. Yeah,
all those three were awesome.
Scored 40 goals in St. Louis. Hello,
48.
48. Yeah, almost 50, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was good for Montreal when he was there. He did what he had to do.
So Wilfie, we had a few fights. We fought in Quebec a couple times. Then I think once with the Rangers too, right? And like I said, you were so strong. I couldn't believe it. Honestly, you're one of the strongest guys upper body I fought. And plus your legs, right? Because you could plant your legs good. You're hard to move. And, I watched one fight we had where I was trying to get my right going. I couldn't. You have my arm. It's like, fuck. I couldn't get it. So I threw a left, and I think you were shocked because you knew I was a righty, and you had the fucking death grip on me. I was like, I was half dead trying to get my arm away from me. But, just
Why
the memories.
You do that?
Why? Because I didn't like you, okay?
To protect, what's his name, that little center you had?
Cabo? Yeah, Cabo.
Well, you know what? He played well like that because you helped him. You helped a lot. And I don't know who was your left wingers at the time.
Bob Gainey. It was me, Bob Gainey, and Cabo.
Yeah. So you protected. Well, Gainey didn't need that much protection, but the other guy. People piss off at him. Right?
Here's one thing I'll tell you about Cabo. And that whole Battle of Quebec, Hunt's had him down, was punching him in the head at the end of the period. He had him down, punched him in the head. Now, I always told Guy, say what you want, do what you want. I'll always be there to protect you. And to his credit, Guy was yappy, but he wasn't like, Nilan will take care of it. Nilan, you go. He never took advantage of me that way. But I told him, play your game. If you got to play nasty game, play it. I don't care. And I'll be there for you. Anyway, when Hunt's got him down and started punching him, that's when I come in. And then everything came, and I ended up hitting Mola. Just see you later. Get out of my way. I'm getting to Hunt's. And then all hell breaks loose. And
you're talking about the fight that we had, the Good Friday or something.
Yeah, the Good Friday thing. Yeah. And I mean, that thing just got crazy out of hand. I had Louis Slager on a couple weeks ago. And, God, I felt bad for him because as bad as I felt for Jean Amel, because I love John, what a teammate he was. And I feel bad for John, what happened to him. But it seems like Jean is holding on to that bitterness of what happened. And I guess I can't blame him. I've done some shit in my life, too, I wasn't proud of. Louis had one hell of a tough time afterwards with the drinking and everything. And he got control of his life, and he bounced back. Louis told me he did not forgive himself until 7 years ago for what he did.
Louis is a really nice guy.
He's a great guy.
Chris, you know what started that? I remember when we take the bus from Quebec City to Montreal, every paper in Quebec was in the bus.
Yeah.
It was not like today you could, read your computer or read your phone.
Yeah.
And I remember Jean Mel was caught by the press in Montreal. They're the ones that created it. Jean Mel's going to get even with us. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. We knew John wasn't like that.
Not at all.
No, he's a quiet guy.
Yeah.
That's what started that. And then I remember Slater saying, I'll fucking settle this problem. Like, stuff like that, whatever I read, I had to defend myself if it was about me.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be able to, unless the guy really hurt me or something like that, I could maybe do something stupid like that. But you know what? I'm pretty sure Slager wasn't that type of person. He was not that person.
Yeah.
It was created by the press. It was created the hate between Quebec City and Montreal. So,
it was tough. It was a tough one. There's no question.
Game, put it this way. I mean, everybody seems to remember that night, but I'm not proud of it. And you already said that, this is not part of hockey.
No.
It was a lot more fun when you won the Stanley Cup, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. You know what was even more fun? In PEI, when we met and you said, you got a cup and I don't.
Yeah, fuck,
That's what you said to me. I can't believe you got one and I don't. And I never rubbed. Listen, I am so grateful I have one. Wilfie, I missed. I could have came my first year, would have been 77, 78, right? No, 78, 79. I stayed in school one more year, so I missed that one. And then I retired in 92. Then they won in 93. Can you imagine if I never got that one in 86? I would have been like ripping my hair out of my head thinking, God, I missed 2 Stanley Cup. Because that's what you want to win. Americans, Canadians, that's the pinnacle, right? Maybe not so much for Europeans.
Number one thing. I mean,
Yeah.
once you retire, you look at it and say, "Oh, I got this, I got that," but you know what? Didn't win the championship. So,
It's funny, and again, I'm grateful and I'm blessed that I was part of a group that won a Stanley Cup. I get that. I've had guys on here, like you played 900 something game, 946, right? I played 688. I probably would have been close to 9 something if I didn't have all the injuries I had in New York with the Rangers. And that's fine. I love my career. I had a great career. But then I've had guys on here, they haven't played many games in NHL. Oh, I only played 100 games. 100 games? You play one fucking game in the NHL. You've done something.
Yeah.
That's huge. And I get how people can minimize it and be like, oh, I only played 20 games. I only played 100 games. Still, to get there, it's so difficult. And it's even more difficult to stay there. And you know that as well as I do.
I mean, put it this way: as yourself, we're supposed to be talking about Wilf Paiement, but as yourself, you came into an organization that they needed you on that line.
Yeah.
And as much as we hated to play against you, you did what you had to do.
Yeah.
So sometimes you don't get that commitment from other teams to do that stuff, or the times have changed. You went to New York, you were older. They always want you to do what you did on one team to make it a real good game or a good career out of that one player. That's why players sometimes they leave an organization to never do it on the other one.
Yeah, Wolfie. Like I told you, I did some things I wasn't, was out of character for me, and one of them was I hit Middleton in Boston. They said I butt ended in the mouth. I hit him with the back of my glove, but it was bad. I fucking knocked his teeth. He had it played in. He was bleeding, and I didn't go after guys like that. I didn't have that reputation. I always went after tough guys.
Well, they wouldn't challenge you, so
yeah. But I want to bring this up. The incident you had with Paulinich, right, Dennis?
You want to hear about that one, right?
Well, if you don't feel comfortable, I'm fine. We don't have to talk about it. But I know when I did what I did to Middleton, right away I fucking knew that was fucking stupid. I lost it there. And
yeah, you're probably intense about other things that happened in the game or whatever.
Yeah, it's true.
The team was losing. And
it was true. There was different things that happened that night, and I won't go there. But something happened to me that the penalty wasn't called, and I was pissed off because I'm supposed to take that stuff because I'm a tough guy, so they overlooked it.
Well, what happened with Paulinich? I mean, obviously Paulinich was a real.
Oh no, he's a tough prick and a shit disturber.
But he was
a shit disturber.
Yeah, exactly. And didn't really, wasn't big enough to really defend himself. But, Detroit at the time had a bunch of lunatics too. They had Bugsy Watson. They had all kinds of things. So somehow against Paulinich, we're playing them. The night before, I played somewhere else, and I got cut on the nose or something like that. And you know how you feel, you're cut, and you're sore, obviously, and you play. And Paulinich, I wasn't going to take no shit from Paulinich either. I mean, I didn't want to be an enforcer, but don't come and bug me because I'm going to reply. So what happened, I didn't like him either. He had the puck, and I'm right side. He had the puck on the left side. He's a right-handed player. So when he saw me coming, he knew I was going to hit him.
Yeah.
So he got the puck out, and he followed through with his stick and hit me like right underneath the nose. You know when you get hit underneath the
Oh
nose,
yeah.
start
It's not
crying,
fun.
whatever. So, it's really sore for a minute or so. Instantly, I knew that he done this because he didn't want me to hit him. It was open ice, so I wouldn't have really hurt him. I was just, I'm not walking away from you, you little prick or whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
So when he did that, with my eyes crying, I just tapped him, broke his nose. I mean, don't need much of a stick to go on your nose to break it.
Yeah.
He initiated the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you know what? I live with the sword. You're gonna get it too. Don't do it to me because I'm going back.
So,
I ain't walking away.
yeah, I get it. Listen, I get that. Because, I had one with Paul Baxter. Paul Baxter gave me the stick in the face. I tried to fight him. We got in the penalty box. He said, I'll give it to you in the other eye, he says to me, right?
Yeah,
So I looked down. I saw the bucket of frozen pucks. I picked one up. He was sitting in the penalty box. I threw it right off his head. He got 10 stitches. Then he went down. I went after him in the goddamn thing when he's getting stitched. The security had to get me at the forum. Dr. Mulder was in there. No, like
put a puck from the penalty box.
yeah. You never heard that one. If you ever see Paul Baxter, ask him that story. He tells that story. He told it once. We're at the draft, and a bunch of ex-players were at the table. We're sitting there, and he tells the story. It was so funny the way he put it out there. Oh,
I was laughing.
so Wilfie, you ended up going to court. They end up in a lawsuit and all that. Did you have to pay that judgment against you, or did Colorado help you with that?
Well, I'll be honest with you. It had an effect on my career. It did have an effect. I was really pissed, and obviously. We're making decent money in those days, but not enough. We're talking about $750,000.
Yeah, that's huge.
So, according to what happened, $500,000 was covered by the insurance.
Yeah.
And the other was it $650 or it was?
I thought it was $850. It said, but
it might have been
$850. It was $500 and $350. Yeah.
I was responsible for $150.
Yeah.
And then the lawyer that I picked up in Buffalo, because this judgment came in, I was in Buffalo.
Yeah.
A long time after this happened. I ended up giving $75,000. But $75,000 not much today, but in those days was a lot. That means
it was a lot. Are you kidding me?
I played 2 years in the National Hockey League for free on something that happened on the ice.
Yeah.
Not something that I jumped in the crowds and hit some, or whatever. This happened on the ice. The challenge was made by Polonish to start with. I guess in the court in Michigan, they looked at Dennis Polonish. He was a foot shorter than me. Poor little guy already.
Yeah, and also they didn't allow in court any of his past and how he played on the ice, right? The attorney couldn't.
He was that type of player.
Yeah.
He was different than you guys. He wanted, if he was on a bad team or no guys to protect him either, he wouldn't have been like that.
Yeah,
he had Dan Maloney. He had Fuzzy Watson. I can't remember the other guys, but he had a whole bunch of retarded guys like us.
Did you play with Don Selesky in Colorado?
Yep.
Okay, but it's funny. When I came up, my first fight was in Philly against Bob Kelly, and then I remember we went and played in Colorado. I think you must have been playing that game. We played in Colorado.
So you were playing for Montreal then?
Yeah, I scored 2 goals in that game. I had 10 shots on net in that game. I never got a hat trick, right? In the NHL, I think 16 times I had 2 goals. I never got a hat trick. But I'll never forget this night in Colorado. And Selesky was there. And I remember, I think it was Larry was yelling at him because he started yapping or something. And Larry was yapping at him something like, you're not so tough now, Selesky, because you're not in Philly. You're not, like, apparently when he was Philly, he was real yappy and looking giving it to everybody, and then everybody else was doing the fighting except for him. And then he got to Colorado, and he was like, "Fucking Mary had a little lamb," It's like I hated guys like that. Now I don't know. That's what I heard from my teammates at that time, but I hated guys who had that bark just because they had tough guys around them. And you go into Philly, and there was some yappy bastards in Boston because they had all that protection. That was easy when you had all them guys.
Belichick didn't bug me as much as some other guys there. But Bridgman bugged me, and then there was an old guy. I can't remember his name. He was a center. Everybody would know him.
Tim Kerr? No, Tim Kerr, Mel Bridgman.
Hair, mustache. He was always in fucking people's face, and he wouldn't fucking fight his mother. So Oleski, I don't know. When I saw him, he was the older guy, and it's normal.
Yeah.
A lot of players get traded.
You mellow out.
Yeah. As far as outside of hockey, he wasn't too bad, but everybody's got a hard on for those guys. What they did in Philly,
Yeah.
So like Eddie Van Em, when he was in Philly and went to Pittsburgh. I mean,
you go. So everybody wants to go after you then, right?
Kill him.
Can't blame him, right?
No, that was like a real monster.
So Wilf, tell me, because we're up against the clock here, almost 10 o'clock. We got about another 5 minutes, but so you retire 87, 88. You play with the Rangers, the Sabres, Pittsburgh Penguins. What was your best season, like the most fun you had in season, and who was like your favorite coach?
Well, the best seasons as a team happened in Quebec.
The most fun you had in a season, like everything.
Quebec.
Yeah,
I mean, we
go.
had a fantastic team. Obviously, our coach was very, very good for the team because he was, we had two Hall of Famers on that team.
Yeah.
Ray and Peter. And, everybody was kind of happy. We're winning. I mean, look, when we went to Montreal, we beat you guys.
Yeah. Well, you can hang your hat on that. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll give you that. I was on the ice fucking when he scored that goal, Stastny, the prick.
Hey, come on. This guy's a good player.
No, he's an unbelievable player. You kidding me? Listen, I knew what a bullheaded fucking.
Quebec was my funnest time to play hockey.
Good for you.
Been in an area was similar to where I grew up. Up in the hills. I was at the ski hill, walking the ski hill at night and looking at things, and we're having a good team. And
Mount St. Anne? Was it Mount St. Anne?
No, I was living there, Lac Beauport, which was a ski hill.
Yeah.
It was about maybe 12 miles. But I see the hill from my family room.
Wilf, I went to the Quebec Pee Wee tournament just before the pandemic, okay, in 2020. And I went there with my wife, my girlfriend at the time. We just got married last year, but after being 15 years together, we got married finally. We said, it's about time. But we went, and I dropped the puck at the Quebec Pee Wee tournament. And they put us up at the Chateau Champlain. And I'm going to tell you, when I walked into that building, the flood of memories that came back for me, it was unbelievable. Like, I'm talking to the doorman. The doorman was the same guy that was there when we were playing and what taught. He was like, it was just awesome to go back to that and that era and think about. I love Quebec City. We used to go to Cafe de la Paix, all the restaurants, Pepino's there. We had just loved Quebec
Didn't go to
City.
Bogart?
Oh, hey, listen, Bogarts came when it was new. It was just opened. What do? We take the train from Montreal to Quebec City, first time. We get in the day before. We used to fucking get in the day of because, or late that night. We get in the day before. We left in the morning. And this place opened up, so we're going. We're going to Bogarts. We go to Bogarts. Guy is there, right? The next day on the Journal de Quebec, Lafleur out at Bogart till 4 a.m, and he was. He ended up scoring 2 goals that night in Quebec. Like only Guy, right? It was all over the newspaper that he was out till 4 in the morning. They had the pictures of him coming out smoking a butt. Like
Well, that's what we did. We tried to get you guys all screwed up so we could beat you the next.
the Dago Bear. They did not want us in Quebec City. That was the only time I ever went out like to a club.
Oh, okay. You're an angel.
No,
right?
no, in Quebec City. In Quebec City. Right? But we'd go to dinner and stuff the night before the game. We always had a team dinner, but this night we were able to go, and I'm telling you, woo! And
Quebec was a nice little city. And
beautiful.
And then I'm pretty sure the teams that came in loved it. You know?
Wolfie, I wish every guy who played in the NHL could have won a Stanley Cup. I really do. Like, there's so many great players that didn't get that opportunity. I do, and I mean that. Like, I look at your career at St. Catharines, you win a Memorial Cup, and you go back to that time, how fun that must have been for you, right? As a young kid, and, when you're with a group of guys and you achieve that goal you're shooting for, it's an awesome feeling. So, yeah, I never like, oh, I got a cup. You don't. I'm never like that. And it's funny, when we were sitting at the table in PEI, that one guy at the table had 2 of them. I said, who the fuck is that guy? Right? Didn't you too? He said he got 2 rings on him. Now, who the fuck is he? Right?
He was Reggie Leach's son.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know he played. I didn't know he was on those teams.
I didn't even know he played either.
Right?
I know Leach, but I didn't know this guy.
Yeah. It's funny. I'll tell you.
You're at the right place at the right time, there, Chris.
Yeah, it's true.
Right time.
Yeah. Reggie Leach.
Chris, you know what? I'm really proud of you. You know, I told you that.
Yeah. Thank you.
I saw you 4 or 5 years before that, somewhere out east somewhere.
Yeah.
We were playing golf, and
Yeah.
you and that poor guy out in Detroit, the big tough guy.
Bob Probert.
Yeah. Yeah. It didn't look as good then, but you look good now.
Well, I appreciate it, buddy. Listen, I have my issues. I dealt with them, and life is good again. I really appreciate that from you. I do. And I'm sure we'll see.
I don't dislike any hockey players.
Hockey players are the best. Are you kidding me?
When we played, we hated each other, but that was the competition.
Yeah.
But now, you know what? We're all in the same boat.
So, Wilfie, what do you do? Where are you living now?
I live in Mississauga, Ontario.
Yeah. Okay.
And I bought this house when I played here in 1979-80. It was a brand new house, and
It's unbelievable.
I own residential property.
Good for you.
That's how I made a living at it. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. And you know what? Raised my family, and everything's cool. I mean,
that's awesome.
Ups and downs, but everything's cool, and I enjoy my grandkids now. I mean,
same here.
I have a son out of Buffalo that might be in that position in one day. He's the son of Cody McCormick. Do you remember Cody McCormick?
No, player. Yeah,
he comes to the PI with you.
Okay, okay, yeah.
Tough kid, like
yeah.
So, you know what? I enjoy watching them, and I really have fun. And I'm fairly healthy still, and able.
Good for you. How's Rozier doing? Rozier, he had the penalty box down in Florida, right? He's 79 now, right? He'll be 80 in August, right?
Rosie's 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
And he's doing quite well. He's retired, obviously. He plays golf maybe 2 or 3 times a week.
Does he live down in Florida still?
Yeah, he lives.
God bless him.
Right in Pompano. And he lives on the golf course. And you know what his exercise is? Every morning when daylight comes, he gets up and he goes and walks 1 or 2 golf courses. And he picks up golf balls.
Good for him.
And, I don't know what he does with them, but he probably sells them. And that's his exercise. And he's...
Good for him.
Yeah, a goer, and he enjoys it. So I go see him every winter. I go see him for a couple of weeks, and I got free rent,
You get all the perks.
It was nice talking to you, Chris.
Hey, Wilfie, awesome talking to you. Thank you for taking the time. And if you need anything ever, whatever, you got my number, and I'm sure I'll see you in PI again. All right, buddy?
Okay.
All right, be well. Thanks so much, Wolfie.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Raw Knuckles with Chris Nilan on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.